The Hollow Road. In the heart of the Yorkshire Dales, nestled between rolling hills and ancient woods, lies a road seldom traveled, Hollow Road. Locals whisper tales of its cursed past, where travelers vanish without a trace and shadows dance under the moonlight. The road, once a bustling path connecting villages, was abandoned after a series of unexplained disappearances. Nature reclaimed it, and now, only the brave or the foolish dare tread its path. Emma Clark, a 32-year-old freelance journalist from Leeds, was known for her investigative pieces on urban legends. Her latest assignment: uncover the truth behind Hollow Road. Accompanied by her childhood friend, Danny Whitaker, a 34-year-old photographer with a penchant for the supernatural, they set out in Emma's silver 2012 Land Rover Defender. "You sure about this, Em?" Danny asked, adjusting his camera strap. "Come on, Danny, it's just a road." "Besides, think of the story," Emma replied, determination gleaming in her eyes. The sun cast long shadows as they drove, the dense woods on either side seeming to close in. The atmosphere grew heavy, the air thick with anticipation. As dusk settled, they reached the entrance of Hollow Road. A weathered sign, barely legible, warned, "Travelers beware, the Hollow claims all." Undeterred, they proceeded. The road was overgrown, the trees forming a canopy that blocked out the fading light. Suddenly, the Land Rover's headlights flickered. "That's odd," Emma murmured. Financial Times a figure darted across the road, a woman in a tattered white dress. "Did you see that?" Danny exclaimed. Emma nodded, her grip tightening on the steering wheel. "Let's check it out." They exited the vehicle, flashlights in hand. The woods were silent save for the rustling leaves. No sign of the woman. Maybe it was a deer, Danny suggested, though uncertainty laced his voice. "Deer don't wear dresses," Emma replied, her tone serious. Further down the road, they discovered an old stone cottage, its roof partially collapsed. Curiosity piqued, they ventured inside. Dust-covered furniture hinted at a once cozy home. On the mantelpiece, a faded photograph depicted a family: a man, woman, and 2 children. The woman's face bore an uncanny resemblance to the figure they'd seen. "This place gives me the creeps," Danny whispered. Emma examined the photograph. "We need to find out who they were." Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing their flashlights. In the darkness, whispers echoed, "Leave. Now." Panic set in. They stumbled out, the cottage now shrouded in an unnatural fog. Back in the Land Rover, they attempted to retrace their path, but the road seemed endless, looping back to the cottage repeatedly. "We're trapped," Emma realized. Danny's hands trembled. "This isn't possible." Emma recalled a local historian, Margaret Hensley, who might have answers. Using the vehicle's satellite phone, she contacted her. "Hollow Road?" Margaret's voice quivered. "That place is cursed. The Hollow family vanished there a century ago. Locals say their spirits linger, trapping souls to join them." Determined, Emma searched the cottage again, finding a diary belonging to Eliza Hollow. The final entry read, "They come at night, whispering, beckoning. We cannot leave." Emma theorized that acknowledging the spirits might set them free. They returned to the cottage, placing the photograph and diary on the mantel. "We understand your pain," Emma spoke aloud. "You don't have to be alone." Warm light enveloped the room. The whispers ceased. Outside, the fog lifted, revealing the clear path back. Relieved, they drove away, the sun rising on the horizon. Emma's article on Hollow Road garnered widespread attention, sparking debates on the supernatural. Danny's photographs, capturing ethereal figures in the eerie cottage, added credibility. Though they escaped, the experience left an indelible mark. Emma often dreams of the whispers while Danny avoids wooded paths. Hollow Road remains, waiting for its next visitors. The Haunting of Hollow Creek. In the summer of 2024, the Bennett family sought a fresh start. James Bennett, a 42-year-old software engineer from Manchester, had recently accepted a remote position allowing him to work from anywhere. His wife, Claire, 39, a former schoolteacher, yearned for the tranquility of the countryside. Their children, Lily, 12, and Ben, 8, were excited about the adventure. They purchased a charming 19th-century farmhouse in the remote village of Hollow Creek, nestled in the Yorkshire Dales. The property, surrounded by dense woods and rolling hills, seemed idyllic, a perfect place to escape the hustle of city life. The Bennetts arrived on a bright July morning. The house, with its ivy-covered stone walls and creaky wooden floors, exuded character. Claire busied herself unpacking, while James set up his home office in the study. Lily and Ben explored the expansive backyard, discovering a swing hanging from an old oak tree. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the fields, the family gathered for dinner. "This place is amazing," Lily said, her eyes sparkling. "It's like living in a fairy tale," Claire added, smiling. James raised his glass. "To new beginnings." A week into their new life, subtle oddities began to surface. Doors creaked open on their own, and cold drafts swept through closed rooms. At night, faint whispers echoed through the halls, too indistinct to decipher. One evening, Lily approached her parents. "I heard someone calling my name last night," she said, her voice trembling. "Probably just the wind," James replied, trying to reassure her. But Claire wasn't convinced. She had felt an inexplicable unease since their arrival, a sense of being watched. While exploring the attic, James discovered a locked door. Curious, he searched the house and found an old key in the kitchen drawer. The key fit perfectly. Inside was a small room, dusty and untouched. An antique rocking chair sat in the corner, gently swaying despite the still air. On the floor lay a faded journal. Claire opened it, revealing entries from a woman named Margaret, dated 1892. The entries spoke of her descent into madness, haunted by voices and visions. "She lived here," Claire whispered. James nodded, unease settling in his stomach. The following nights grew increasingly disturbing. Ben complained of nightmares featuring a shadowy figure standing at the foot of his bed. Lily's room would become ice cold, and she heard scratching sounds behind the walls. Claire began experiencing vivid dreams of a woman in a white dress, crying and whispering unintelligible words. She awoke each time with tears streaming down her face. James, initially skeptical, started hearing footsteps in the hallway during his late-night work sessions. He installed cameras, but they captured nothing. Desperate for answers, Claire visited the local library. She discovered that the house had a dark history. Margaret, the previous owner, had lost her husband and children to a mysterious illness. Consumed by grief, she isolated herself and was eventually found dead in the attic. Locals believed her spirit lingered, unable to move on. Claire shared this with James. "We need to help her find peace," she said. James agreed. Though fear gripped him, Claire contacted a local spiritualist, Mrs. Whitmore, who agreed to perform a cleansing ritual. That evening, as the family gathered in the attic, Mrs. Whitmore began the ceremony. Candles flickered, and the air grew thick. Suddenly, a chilling wind swept through the room, extinguishing the flames. A shadowy figure appeared, wailing in anguish. "Margaret," Claire whispered, tears in her eyes. Mrs. Whitmore spoke softly. "Your family is waiting. It's time to let go." The figure paused, then slowly dissipated. The room fell silent. In the days that followed, the house felt lighter. The whispers ceased, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The Bennetts resumed their lives, the haunting a distant memory. Claire often visited the attic, now a serene space. She felt a connection to Margaret, a reminder of the past and the importance of compassion. The house at Hollow Creek stood as a testament to healing, a place where the past and present coexisted in harmony. Where the Woods End. In October 2023, 29-year-old Evelyn Moore inherited her late Aunt Agatha's estate, Wolf Hollow Manor, a massive, decaying mansion nestled in the countryside of Northumberland, England. Evelyn, a freelance writer, recovering from a failed relationship and burnout, saw it as an opportunity for solitude and clarity. She packed up her life in London and drove her black 2012 Audi A3 5 hours north, alone. As she crossed the final stretch of the winding road, dusk painted the sky with burnt orange and gray. Fog crept low across the fields and the GPS lost signal. The road narrowed into a dirt path flanked by crooked trees, their bare branches like reaching hands. A single wooden sign read, "Wolf Hollow, Private Lane." The manor emerged, like a sleeping beast 3 stories tall, built in dark stone and covered in withered ivy. The windows were tall and narrow like watching eyes. A rusting wrought iron gate creaked as she entered. It was eerily silent. No birds, no wind, just the soft tick of her car's cooling engine. Inside, the house smelled of old wood, dust, and something faintly metallic. Evelyn flicked on the entrance hall light. It flickered before holding, casting long shadows across portraits with cracked, staring faces. The floors groaned beneath her every step. Agatha, a distant and peculiar aunt, had died mysteriously in her sleep. The local solicitor claimed the house was structurally sound but emotionally heavy. Evelyn didn't ask what he meant. The manor was a labyrinth. Each room was preserved in a different era. The sitting room had velvet green wallpaper peeling at the corners and a marble fireplace with soot-stained bricks. The library was floor-to-ceiling shelves, books untouched for decades. In the attic, Evelyn found trunks of old photographs and a strange, leather-bound book titled Names That Must Not Be Said. Her bedroom was on the 2nd floor at the far end of the hall. A queen-sized 4-poster bed stood center, with embroidered curtains and lace sheets. On the nightstand, a silver hairbrush, a candle stub, and a yellowed photo of Agatha in front of the house with someone scratched out beside her. She turned the frame down. The first night it rained, hard. Thunder shook the windows and wind howled through cracks in the walls. At exactly 3:08 a.m., Evelyn awoke to the creak of footsteps upstairs. But there was no floor above the 2nd story. She listened. Tap, tap, scrape, like something dragging. She clutched her phone. No signal. The home's landline was disconnected. She crept into the hallway, floorboards sighing beneath her, and heard it again. Scrape, scrape, drag. A faint whisper followed. "You're not alone here." She slammed her door shut and didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, Evelyn drove into the nearest town. Brindlehook, a tiny village of stone cottages and boarded-up shops. She stopped at a cafe called Grimley's, where the waitress, Elsie, an elderly woman with cloudy eyes, served her tea. "You're the niece, then?" Elsie said quietly. "I am. Evelyn Moore. My aunt passed. I remember Agatha. Strange woman. Kept to herself. Never came to town after. What happened?" "What happened?" Elsie hesitated. "She lost her sister in those woods behind your house, 1961. Girl wandered in, never came out. Agatha changed after that. Said the woods talk. Said they took her sister because she didn't listen." Evelyn felt cold despite her tea. That night, Evelyn found a door in the pantry hidden behind a shelving unit. It led to stone steps spiraling downward into the cold earth. She brought a lantern and descended slowly. The basement smelled of damp soil and iron. Shelves held jars, decades old, of herbs, bones, feathers, and teeth? There was a ritual circle carved into the floor, chalked symbols surrounding a single, burned-down candle. In the corner, a large mirror covered with a velvet sheet. She pulled the cloth away. Her reflection stared back, then blinked. She hadn't. Over the following days, Evelyn began seeing her in flashes. A tall, rail-thin woman, in a gray dress, face obscured by stringy black hair, standing just beyond doorways or reflected in the mirror's surface. One night, the woman stood in Evelyn's bedroom, staring at the wall. Evelyn whispered, "Who are you?" The woman turned slowly, mouth opening unnaturally wide, jaw cracking. "She invited me, and now you've let me out." The mirror in the basement shattered the next morning. Evelyn's dreams twisted. In one, she was Agatha, performing rituals in the woods, chanting in Latin beneath a blood moon. In another, she saw a young girl, her great-aunt, dragged into the trees by shadowy figures with antlers. Evelyn woke with soil on her hands. Her fingernails were black. The soles of her feet were muddy. She had no memory of leaving the house. The seventh night, Evelyn followed whispers into the forest. Fog coiled around her ankles. The trees loomed like silent judges. An unnatural cold hugged her skin. Voices echoed, "Sister, come home. Join us." As she did, she reached a clearing where the ground was sunken and dead. In its center, a crude stone altar covered in dried blood. Beside it, a photograph of two little girls, Agatha and her sister, both smiling. But in this photo, both girls had hollow eyes. Evelyn fled back to the house and tore through the attic, finding Agatha's final journal entry. "I summoned her to protect me. But she stays now. She waits. She watches. She needs blood to rest. My blood was enough. But she will hunger again, and my niece will be here soon." The last time anyone in Brindlehook saw Evelyn was 2 weeks later. She came into town looking pale and hollow-eyed, muttering about shadows and names she couldn't forget. Then she vanished. Wolf Hollow Manor stands silent now. But some nights, villagers say they see a figure in the upper window. Sometimes it's a woman brushing her hair. Other times, it's something else entirely. If you visit, don't go after midnight, and never ever say the names carved into the basement floor. Some doors once opened cannot be closed.